My best friend expected me to bail her out of debt, arguing, "You're doing better than me. It's only fair." When I refused, she called me selfish and turned our group against me. Months later, she begged for help again. I replied, "Sorry, I don't fund repeat offenders." I met Olivia during our freshman year at the University of Michigan. She was the kind of person who could walk into a room and instantly become the center of attention. Her infectious laughter, coupled with an uncanny ability to make everyone feel special, drew people to her. We quickly became inseparable, bonding over late-night study sessions at the Shapiro Library, spontaneous road trips exploring the nooks and crannies of Ann Arbor, and our shared love for indie music. Our friendship felt like one of those rare, once-in-a-lifetime connections. After graduation, we both set our sights on Chicago. I secured a position at a reputable marketing firm downtown, while Olivia landed a role as an event coordinator for a burgeoning startup. The excitement of starting our adult lives in the Windy City was palpable. We decided to move in together, finding a cozy two-bedroom apartment in Lincoln Park with a view that overlooked the bustling streets below. Those early days were filled with decorating our space, hosting dinner parties. Credit cards became her best friends, and I often wondered how she managed to keep up with such expenditures on her salary. One crisp autumn evening, after a particularly grueling day at work, I returned home to find Olivia seated at our kitchen table, a stack of bills spread out before her. Her usual vivacious demeanor was replaced with a look of sheer distress. "Hey Liv, everything okay?" I inquired, setting down my bag and approaching her. She sighed deeply, running a hand through her hair. "Not really. I'm in over my head and I don't know what to do." Concerned, I pulled out a chair and sat beside her. "Talk to me. What's going on?" She hesitated, then confessed, "I've accumulated about $15,000 in credit card debt. Between rent, utilities, and trying to maintain, well, a certain lifestyle, it's all spiraled out of control." I was taken aback. 15,000? Olivia, that's a significant amount. "I know," she whispered, tears welling up in her eyes. "I was wondering if you could help me out. Maybe lend me the money to pay it off? You're doing better than me financially, and it would mean the world." The request caught me off guard. I valued our friendship deeply, but lending such a substantial sum was a daunting proposition. "Liv, I care about you, and I want to support you, but $15,000 is a lot of money. I have my own financial commitments and goals." Her face contorted with frustration. "So you're just going to leave me hanging? After everything we've been through?" "It's not that simple," I tried to explain. "Mixing money and friendship can complicate things. I don't want to jeopardize what we have." She stood abruptly, knocking over her chair. "I can't believe you're being so selfish. I thought I could count on you." "Olivia, please understand," I pleaded, but she had already grabbed her coat and stormed out, leaving me in stunned silence. In the days that followed, the atmosphere among our mutual friends grew tense. Invitations to group outings became scarce, and when I did attend, I was met with cold stares and whispered conversations that ceased the moment I approached. It became evident that Olivia had painted me as the villain, accusing me of abandoning her in her time of need. The isolation was suffocating. Friends I'd known for years now viewed me with suspicion, and the vibrant social life I'd cherished disintegrated before my eyes. Determined not to let this define me, I immersed myself in work, often volunteering for additional projects to occupy my mind. I joined a local book club, finding solace in the company of fellow literature enthusiasts. Weekends were spent volunteering at an animal shelter, where the unconditional affection of the animals provided a balm to my wounded spirit. Slowly, I began to rebuild a semblance of a social life, forming connections with new acquaintances who knew nothing of the drama that had unfolded. Months later, on a particularly dreary November evening, as rain pattered against the windows and the city lights shimmered through the droplets, my phone buzzed with an incoming call. Glancing at the screen, Olivia's name flashed before me. A whirlwind of emotions surged: anger, sadness, nostalgia. After a moment's hesitation, I answered. "Hello?" A pause, then a subdued, "Hey." Olivia, I acknowledged, my tone neutral. I've been doing a lot of thinking, she began, her voice lacking its usual confidence. I realize I handled things poorly. I was hurt and lashed out, and I'm sorry for turning our friends against you. I remained silent, processing her words. She continued, the truth is, my financial situation has worsened. The debt has grown, and I'm on the verge of losing my apartment. I don't know where else to turn. Can we meet and talk? The audacity of her request, after everything that had transpired, was staggering. Memories of our friendship said some things about you. About ethics. That maybe someone should look into your spending habits. I felt my blood run cold. Lisa looked uncomfortable. HR already flagged it as a personal attack and tossed it out. But you might want to be careful. Careful? I was furious. Olivia had just crossed a line I didn't even think she'd dare approach. I went home that night shaking. I couldn't focus. I sat in the dark for an hour before I finally texted her. Me, what the hell do you think you're doing? No response. I waited. 10 minutes. 30. An hour. Finally, her name popped up. Olivia, you made your choice. I made mine. The nerve. I knew confronting her wouldn't change anything. But something inside me snapped. I wasn't going to just sit back and watch her try to destroy me piece by piece. A few days later, more stories began circulating. I'd walk into a room and conversations would die mid-sentence. People I barely knew would act like I was radioactive. One afternoon, in the break room, I overheard someone whisper, "She's the one that scammed her best friend, right?" That's when I realized she was telling people I'd taken money from her. That I was the one who left her in debt. That I used her for years while she covered the bills. And people were believing it. I tried to do damage control. I sat with the few friends I had left, explained the situation, even showed them messages and receipts. Some believed me. Others gave that polite nod that told me they were already gone. This was no longer about a loan. This was war. Then, out of nowhere, her sister Mia messaged me. I hadn't spoken to her in years, not since college, but she'd always been quiet, observant, the total opposite of Olivia. Mia, I know what Olivia's been doing. I thought you should know. We agreed to meet at a quiet little diner on the edge of town. Mia came in with a tired look on her face, like she hadn't slept in days. She slid into the booth, looked around nervously, then leaned in. She's done this before, she whispered. What do you mean? She's targeted people. Friends. Even family. Gets close, borrows money, ruins their name when they don't give her what she wants. She did it to our cousin last year. She maxed out his card, then told everyone he kicked her out with nothing. People bought it. They always do. I just stared at her. She can't control you, and that drives her crazy. My mind was racing. Why are you telling me this now? Mia sighed. Because she's spiraling. And she's planning something big. I found a folder on her laptop. It had pictures of you, your office, your apartment. Notes. Names of your coworkers. I felt sick. She thinks you betrayed her. And now, she wants revenge. Mia paused. You need to protect yourself. For the first time, I was genuinely afraid. The next few days, I changed all my passwords. I called my building and had them check the security logs. I warned my boss and HR, just in case anything else came through. I even started looking over my shoulder walking home at night. That fear turned into paranoia. And paranoia turned into obsession. I began digging into Olivia's past, every trace I could find. I spoke with old college friends. An ex-roommate of hers from New York. A former coworker from the event planning firm she'd left under suspicious circumstances. Patterns began to emerge. Scorched earth behavior. Lies so thick they felt like reality. A trail of broken friendships and half-truths going back years. I was just her latest target. One night, while scrolling through a forgotten alumni Facebook group, I found a post from a woman named Rachel. She described an eerily similar situation. Debt. A falling out. Then a smear campaign that left her isolated. I reached out and we talked. For hours. Then we found another. And another. Within 2 weeks, I had a small army of people who had been through the same hell. We started a private group. Shared everything we had. Messages, emails, even screenshots from public forums where Olivia had posted under fake names. This wasn't just personal anymore. This was about stopping her before she did it again. But then something happened I didn't expect. Someone anonymously leaked screenshots from Olivia's private messages to our group chat. She was talking to a man, her latest boyfriend, telling him how I'd stolen her identity, how I was emotionally unstable and violent. And he was eating it up, promising to take care of it. That's when the messages started. Texts from random numbers, DMs from blank profiles. All threatening, all vague. But they were meant to scare me. And it was working. I filed a police report. I documented everything. I didn't know if the authorities would actually do anything, but I needed a paper trail. Meanwhile, Olivia posted on her Instagram one of those long captions with a tearful selfie, talking about toxic friendships, narcissistic abuse, and how she was finally healing. And the comments? Hundreds of them. People telling her she was brave, that they stood with her. She had rewritten the entire story, and I wasn't sure how far she'd go next. I didn't want revenge. I wanted truth. But with someone like Olivia, the truth might not be enough. It got worse. A few weeks after that Instagram post, I received a certified letter at work. The receptionist looked at me like I had a ticking bomb in my hands. I opened it in the break room, my hands already shaking. It was a cease and desist letter from Olivia's lawyer. She was accusing me of defamation, harassment, and invasion of privacy. Said I was actively coordinating an online harassment campaign against her. That my actions had caused her emotional distress and loss of professional opportunities. I laughed out loud in that break room. It wasn't funny. It was panic. It was disbelief. It was the insane feeling that somehow the truth had no weight anymore. I took the letter to a lawyer, an actual one. A friend referred me to a woman named Nina, sharp as hell, used to dealing with messy personal cases. After a long consultation, Nina leaned back and said, "This isn't a real case. It's a scare tactic. But it could become real if she finds a judge willing to listen." She gave me 2 pieces of advice: stop engaging and start documenting everything. But what Olivia didn't know was that by then, we weren't just documenting. We were building a case. One of the women in our group, Rachel, was a former paralegal. She started organizing all the accounts, timelines, messages. Another member turned out to be a tech guy. He started tracing the fake profiles, linking them back to IP addresses and common data points. One even connected back to her boyfriend. We weren't planning revenge. We were preparing defense. Then came the real twist. Out of nowhere, Olivia disappeared online. Instagram wiped. Facebook gone. Her personal blog, which she'd been using to spin her healing journey, suddenly vanished. At first we thought she was regrouping, maybe getting scared. Maybe her lawyer warned her off. But then Mia called me. And this time, she wasn't calm. "She's in Arizona," Mia said, her voice tight. "She's staying with our mom. And she's not okay." I didn't understand. "What do you mean, not okay?" "She's convinced people are following her, watching her. Says someone hacked her phone, her laptop. She made mom take down all the mirrors in the house. She thinks you're behind it." Me, the one who just wanted to be left alone. She's spiraling. She's not sleeping. She's paranoid. She keeps muttering about how you turned everyone against her. I didn't know how to respond. Mia said quietly, "She's planning to come back to Chicago. She thinks if she confronts you face to face, it'll end." End? This wasn't a fight anymore. It was delusion. I hung up that night and sat in the dark for hours. I thought about the Olivia I met in college. Bright, charming, alive. The Olivia who used to leave handwritten notes on my desk when I was having a rough day. The Olivia who once cried on the floor with me during finals week, both of us exhausted and half laughing at the madness of life. That Olivia was gone. And this new person, this version of her, was dangerous. Not just to me, but maybe to herself. The next week was quiet. I went to work, went home, avoided social media like it was poison. And then it happened. I came home one evening and found an envelope taped to my door. No stamp, no address, just my name in messy handwriting. Inside were printed screenshots. All of them, our group messages, Rachel's posts, Mia's texts, even a copy of the IP report from our tech guy. She'd somehow gotten access to everything. There was a sticky note on the last page. Just one sentence, scribbled in red ink. You wanted a war. Now it's real. I reported it to the police immediately. They said they'd investigate, but I knew what that meant. Unless she actually did something, there wasn't much they could do. Still, that note changed things. Everyone in the group started locking down. 2 people deleted their accounts entirely. Rachel moved out of her apartment after a neighbor saw someone snooping around her back window. Another member, Laura, found a strange car parked outside her house 3 nights in a row. We weren't just being paranoid anymore. Someone was watching. And it wasn't random. It was her. Or someone working with her. Olivia had gone off the deep end, and now, she wasn't just trying to ruin my reputation. She wanted to dismantle everyone who dared defend me. I knew I couldn't wait for the police to get involved. I needed to get ahead of her again. So I made a decision. If she was coming back to Chicago, I would be ready. Not to fight. Not to hurt her. But to make sure if she crossed the line again, this time, there would be consequences. Real ones. And not just for her. The night she showed up, I was ready. I had installed a camera above my apartment door 2 days earlier. I didn't tell anyone, not even the group. I kept the lights off in my place, sat in the dark by the window waiting. At 11:42 p.m., she appeared. Same hooded coat from college. Same hurried steps, just like the ones I remembered when we were running late to class. She looked up at the camera. Didn't flinch. She knew it was there. Then she slid another envelope under my door. I waited until she left. Waited 10 full minutes. When I opened the door, the hallway was empty. The envelope this time wasn't full of threats. It was a printed-out blog post. One that had been deleted. The title read, How She Tried to Destroy Me. It was a first-person rant, from her point of view. Full of half-truths and flat-out lies. Claims that I emotionally manipulated her, stole her money, blackmailed her, and led an online cult against her. It had screenshots again. Most of them edited, some barely. But enough to cast out. At the bottom, there was a signature line. Published soon. Just waiting for the right moment. That was it. I couldn't keep playing defense. The next morning, I made one final call. Rachel, Laura, Mia, everyone in the group, we met in person, in a library conference room. It was cold. We were tired. But no one backed out. We pulled everything together. Every screenshot, every message, every time-stamped receipt. Every story, every photo. Then we hired a lawyer. This time, not for protection. For offense. We filed for a restraining order. We filed for defamation. And then we filed a police report with all the new evidence, including the latest video of her approaching my door. That same week, one of the women in the group forwarded me something she found online. It was a GoFundMe, titled, Help Me Survive a Narcissist's Revenge. It had Olivia's photo. Her full sob story. All twisted to make her look like the victim. It had already raised over $5,000. We contacted the site. Reported every false claim. And then we sent them all the documents. It was shut down in 2 days. Her reaction came fast. Late one night, I got a message from an unknown number. A voice memo. It was Olivia. Sobbing. Screaming. Her voice cracking from the pressure. You ruined me. You turned everyone against me. I should have never trusted you. You used me and then threw me away. Then silence. And then, quietly, I hope you rot. The voicemail was enough to finally get the restraining order approved. But it didn't feel like a win. Because I had changed too. Somewhere in the middle of all this madness, I stopped being the person I was. I stopped sleeping. I stopped trusting people. I started thinking 10 steps ahead like everything was a chess game. I wasn't innocent in this either. I fed the fire too. I could have walked away. I could have blocked her and moved on. But I didn't. I let it grow. I let the rage eat at me until it was the only thing I felt. A month later, we got word Olivia had left the state again. Mia said she was in Florida now, staying with a cousin. She said she's starting over. But then Mia said something else. Something that made my stomach drop. She said she's working on a book. About everything. A memoir. I didn't say anything. I didn't need to. Let her write it. Let her say what she wants. Because I already wrote mine. I gathered all the evidence, the screenshots, the timeline, the court filings. I published it all anonymously on a long-form blog platform. Not to ruin her. Not to chase her. But so no one else would fall for it again. And the post? It went viral. People shared it. Commented on it. Some knew her. Some had met people like her. Some just couldn't believe someone could twist reality so far. Her name wasn't in it. But anyone who knew knew. It was the truth. And this time, she couldn't spin it. I don't feel proud of how far it went. I don't feel like a hero. I lost friends. I lost sleep. I lost who I used to be. But I didn't lose the one thing she wanted most, control over me. In the end, Olivia disappeared. Vanished from every corner of the internet. And I kept going. Damaged. But free.